And we're live. Welcome everybody to this Hangout on Air. And tonight we are talking with Jurgen Appelo and people from Sweden about management in Sweden. So for anybody that has questions, please just send in your questions through the Hangout Q&A, or you can send a tweet to hashtag M30Workout and we'll get the questions answered. And before I turn it over to Jurgen, I wanted people to know that we are going to be doing a poll on who has the best coffee mug, because it is a virtual coffee. So we'll have everybody hold up their coffee mugs and I'll have the poll open through the duration, so please vote. But Jurgen, I'll hand it on over to you now and you can introduce the guests and the topics.
All right, thank you, Lisette. So yeah, this is the fourth Hangout already in preparation for the Management 3.0 workout book tour. And this time I want to talk with some people from Sweden, some of my friends in Sweden. And we have a couple of guests here, and I would like to ask each of them to briefly introduce themselves. What's your name, where are you from? And then we're going to start with the first question. Let's start with Håkan.
Yeah, hi. My name is Håkan Fors, Lean Agile coach at the Vega Group in Stockholm, focusing very much on leadership coaching in terms of Lean and Agile.
All right, thank you, Håkan. Next one, Mikael.
Hello, everyone. Michael Torvaldsson here. I at Knowit in Gothenburg, Sweden. We work with as technology management.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Michael is on a low bandwidth connection. That's why we only see his beautiful photograph, but it's going to work, I'm quite sure. And the last one, Pia Maria.
Hi there, I'm Pia Maria Thorén, and I'm the general manager of Green Bullet, which is a consultant firm focusing on agile HR and agile leadership.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So my first question is, suppose people from other European countries come to Sweden to work for Swedish organizations. What can they expect in terms of a typical Swedish management style? How do you think that might be different from what people are used to elsewhere? Does anyone want to start with that question?
I could actually start to say that leadership in Sweden is a lot about empowerment, and actually it doesn't work anymore in Sweden to have a leadership style where you don't provide empowerment. Hey, Per.
Hey!
There's some more people joining into the discussion. That's nice.
Okay.
So I think the word that we all could agree on is the most important word for management in Sweden is to empower the employees. If you try a controlling leadership style, I don't think you will be very successful in Sweden.
Okay, and is that a good match with Agile? For me, that sounds like a good match with Agile. But what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect match with Agile, actually. So that's what Agile very much is about, is to empower the team and to trust the team to be able to take their own decisions and to work on delegating more and more power and responsibility to the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Håkan, what's your idea?
So I think I agree to some degree, and I also think the leadership style in Sweden is very consensus-driven instead of being someone that decides everything. It also makes the decision process a little bit slower. What I've observed in many organizations moving to more sort of lean and agile setting is that the management tend to step back, and sometimes maybe they step back too far and not giving boundaries and challenges for the organization that could be limiting their potential.
Could you explain that maybe with an example or something? I'm trying to understand that one.
So one organization I've been working with recently, there's a tendency to that leaders are trying to empower the teams and giving them power of self-organization, but actually stepping a little bit too much back, which creates kind of a vacuum and not giving guidance and challenging the teams to improve and go in a certain direction, which creates confusion and doesn't give a drive in the organization towards the vision and the shared goals that they have.
All right, I see. So they do not create the right conditions for self-organization to do its job. I understand.
You could say
Yes,
too much freedom is not good for you.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. What about Michael? What's your opinion on that?
Actually, consensus was the first word that came to mind, and I totally agree with Pia-Maria and Håkan about this. It's both a very good thing and a very agile thing. At the same time, we have the problem with boundaries and clear expectations sometimes. As Håkan mentioned, totally agree to that, which can cause some frustration, etc. in the organization. No one is actually deciding. I hear that a lot, who is deciding, but we're doing that in a consensus way, and it takes longer, but we usually get it right.
Okay, well, getting it right sounds good, at least, no matter that it takes a bit longer than you'd like. And I sense consensus within this group as well. It's very typically Swedish.
Yeah.
What about Per? Per, you just joined us. Can you hear us? We don't hear you at this time. No, we don't hear you. Sorry.
The microphone is muted.
The microphone is muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I muted him but now I can't unmute him.
Oh, wait a minute, Per. We're trying to solve this problem.
Yeah,
I hope he's not driving at the same time.
Yeah.
Looks like he is.
Yeah, he is actually.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to Per in a moment. We'll try to figure out the sound issue there. So let's move on to the next question. So there's consensus on having a consensus culture in Sweden. Are there any success stories of agile transformation or modern organizations where you think, well, Sweden could be proud of that, of what they did over there? Can anyone suggest a name or examples of organizations that are doing well?
The hard part is to get put it out in public. It's not all companies that want to advertise their potential competitive advantage.
Okay, interesting. All right. So it is a competitive advantage that they are doing better management-wise than others, and they don't want to reveal their secrets. Is that true?
Yeah, to some degree.
Okay. But you have some personal experience with such organizations that are doing well?
At least they're on a journey that is improving instead of not improving, and I think that is the main thing. It's not that you have necessarily reached the success, but that you're on the journey.
Okay. All right. And can you mention one thing that they're doing differently as opposed to other organizations? Some concrete examples without naming the companies, but some practices that they have adopted?
The typical practices I see is high experimentation and allowing people to experiment and allow failures. Which is more experiment that are not giving the expected results.
Yeah.
And then also to have a very clear sense of direction and purpose.
Okay. All right. And Pia-Maria?
Yeah, I have a very fresh example, actually. I ran a workshop yesterday with a Swedish TV company. Their HR department had tried to start working with Kanban, and they didn't succeed. So they turned to me for help. So I went in and coached them for a day to set up the sprints in a good manner and to organize the Kanban in a good way. So we actually decided to work with a digital Kanban instead of the traditional paper on the wall, so to speak. And they were very happy in the end that we succeeded to turn around their experience. And we decided to start small with just one small project, because they put everything on the wall from the beginning. Every task that they had, they put it on the wall. I said we need, because they were not used to working together from before, and they were a bunch of specialists. And I said, you have to gradually learn each other's tasks. So we start with one small project where you can work together. And then we planned the goals for that project, and we did the sprint planning and the product backlog and everything. And they got started off with this smaller project. And it was quite successful. That was very fun. Yeah, maybe it was not really about leadership, but they were going to develop products for leaders in this HR department. So I think they will be successful in the future when they deliver those products.
Right. Okay. All right. Michael, what is your opinion? Do you have any examples of organizations doing well as compared to others?
Yes, it's really interesting to slowly, and we definitely see progress. It's really interesting to look at from a management point of view or consultant to see. I mean, people that they really like to work in groups. I think that's one thing, and self-organize is really good. Different commitment to things, and people are taking improve the new agile techniques, etc. So there is a lot of things going on, which is really interesting, and I think we are slowly improving a lot of good attributes in the organization, actually.
All right, awesome. I lost a few small fragments, but I think I got the overall impression of what you just said. Johan, you just joined us a couple of minutes ago. Can you? We already started without you. Sorry about that. But what can you introduce yourself in 30 seconds? Where are you from?
All right. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Great. I'm working currently at Scania IT for the truck manufacturer Scania, the IT company. We're about 1,200 people today. We have a diverse IT setup with a lot of legacy and a lot of new things going on, and we're just about to transform this into an agile setup with all the challenges that includes.
All right.
I myself have been an IT professional since maybe 22 years or something like that.
Okay, okay. And well, that's very interesting, because I heard the name Scania several times pop up when Swedes talk about interesting organizations. So I'm sure a lot of things are happening at Scania. Can you share with us, if that is possible, something good that has been happening at Scania that maybe others could learn from?
We have a lot of interesting lean and agile things going on, and on the what differs from the Scania IT organization and the Scania organization as a truck manufacturer is that the workshops actually are more progressive and more forward and more aggressive in their agile adoption. So the IT organization that usually is the head of this, we're actually trailing.
Oh, that's fascinating. And who is leading there? What kind of people are leading the transformation at Scania?
Um, it's really the production sites. We've been cooperating with Toyota since the late 80s. So we've been through this whole lean and agile transformation. We call it as Toyota calls it, the Toyota production system. We call it Scania production system. But it's really a manufacturing setup of lean, which we're now trying to adopt to the IT organization.
Right. Okay. So basically, you already know what you should be doing, and then you're teaching the IT guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. That sounds fascinating. All right. Do we have sound with Per yet, or has that not been resolved?
He has to unmute himself. I am not able to do that.
Okay.
So Per, if you can unmute yourself, then we can talk. It's muted because you're driving. I'm not sure what to do. And quickly, we have a couple of questions from the audience asking how the heck can they get in? And I think there's some confusion right at the moment that we're at capacity for what we want to do in this conversation, and you can watch and ask questions via Google Hangout or by sending a link to the hashtag M3O workout. So feel free to ask questions. And we do have a poll running right now on who's got the favorite coffee mug. So every once in a while, you may want to hold up your mug so that people can vote, and the vote in the side panel.
I'm going to win this one.
No.
That's okay. Now, sorry to interrupt with that, but we can continue.
Okay, no problem. So let's continue with the next question. What are the main obstacles for change in Sweden? Do you guys have any opinion on that? Let's return to Pia Maria for now.
Yeah, politics is
Politics.
that comes to my mind. Fat bonuses and managers in positions that they don't want to let go of because they are too fat and lazy and like the money. Something like that.
But don't hold back.
Well, am I glad I do not have that problem of fat bones?
Yeah, I think it's a power issue and a money issue. They don't want to let go of their nice positions that they have. I think that's actually the biggest obstacle.
Mm-hmm. And do you see a way around that, or is it unsolvable because we depend on them?
As Bjarte Bogsnes said, they will soon retire.
Okay, well that's a good option.
Yeah, they will disappear anyway soon. I'm not sure, but it's a difficult one, a very difficult one. Maybe somebody else has an idea of what to do about it.
All right, Håkan, you are a person with great ideas. I know that. Help us out here.
Oh, he froze.
You froze. Oh, damn. We were just about to hear the solution.
Alignment of purpose and things like that.
Sorry, Håkan, could you repeat that because you froze for a while?
Yeah, okay. Am I freezing still? No.
No, you're
good. Okay. No, so I think the biggest problem for change is the lack of vision and challenge many times. And the teams are typically good. If they get a sense of purpose and sense of direction, they typically can change. The biggest problem I see is the middle managers. They get one message in terms of what is the goal of the organization that is pointing in one direction, but they get measured and evaluated on something else. So my focus to try to resolve this is to focus on the manager side, to talk and coach them to see how we can get alignment between how we measure and get evaluated to the actual goals that the organization want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you say the bigger problem is the middle layers in organizations and less so much the top manager with the fat bonus?
Yes. The top managers are typically in line what they see the great potential of using lean and agile, and they see that they can get great benefits, but then they have a hard time to then go through the middle management layers, and then we have the teams that typically is performing and understanding the purpose and the way of working very well.
Okay, so you need to squeeze them in the hamburger approach then, right? With the top down and bottom up.
So what I typically do is to work with the executives and the top managers to change how they communicate with the middle managers. I don't focus that much on the teams, but because that comes naturally.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. What about Johan? What's your experience? What are the biggest obstacles? You're doing well with Scania, but I'm sure there are also problems that you recognize.
There are a lot of challenges for us as well. I would have to agree that for me it's the top management really trying to. They're not giving direction. They're not giving vision. They're not giving the what to do. They're telling us how to do things, and that's really devastating. That has nothing really to do with agile or lean or something. It's pure leadership questions. As I look into the different large organizations that I've been with through the years, it's the same thing. It's the lack of vision and the lack of what to do, and letting the organization loose on it.
Right. Okay. So I hear you saying basically the why is lacking, and they just focus on the what.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And what about Michael? Do you have a similar experience?
Yes, I think one of the biggest problem is that we have for some time had an approach where we solve all the problems with simple solutions like processes and routines and stuff, and that's like in the backbone. Whenever we have a problem, it's always about a new routine or a process. And we could say we need to understand that we can solve problems other principles slowly but surely, and that takes time, especially for the management to understand and to get the backbone reflex out of the system and say, okay, we can do it other ways. For me, it's more education problem, a knowledge problem.
Okay, good.
So do you hear me now?
Yes.
I think I managed to hit the right button.
All right, awesome. So but finally, we can hear you.
But the picture froze, right? Or
nope, you're good.
No, we enjoy your car ride here.
Yeah, I forgot about this. I managed to install the Hangout app and they got it going. So I'm pretty impressed.
Okay.
So on this topic, I see in Sweden everything is a project. It's a project culture. So in order to do something, you start a new project, and typically you're really happy. You have like a developer, an architect, a project manager, and then you think it's just to keep on going. But I mean, these people, they have never worked together, they don't understand the domain, and nothing happens, and it's a really long starting runway. It could take a couple of months, and then the teams start to get together, and you finally start to produce things, and then the project is over, and what do you do then? Well, you have consultants there that costs money, so you let them go. So it's the teams seldom have the time to really be a hyper-performing team. And I think it's due to the fact that everything has to be a project here. Mm. And also, if you have a project, typically you have a model like props or PPS with milestones, and those milestones by themselves can be pretty waterfall, right? So then you have to, in order to pass a milestone, you need to have done this and that. So the project steering model is not really in line with Agile either.
Yeah.
And then you have like simple things like time reporting, okay? So you should report time on requirements and test and development, but if you're working in an agile team, you don't think about it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could seem ridiculous that time reporting could be a problem, but it's in there in this whole structure. So what I see as a trend is to actually go through this, leave this project model behind, and start to have long-lasting teams that know the domain. So they can innovate. I mean, if you're a new team, you don't know the domain, it's hard to innovate. And
okay.
So I see a number of companies now start moving in that direction. We are working with a company called De Laval. They are producing cow comfort system, milking, all of that stuff. It's pretty complicated. It's both software and hardware. So they have changed the model from a lot of directors creating projects to ensure that their things gets done, and they're sitting in the steering group. Now they have more of a funnel and the flow of development. The same is true for one of these bigger travel agencies and so on.
Right. All right. So let's ask what the others think of that. By the way, speaking of De Laval and cow systems, look at my mug. This could be their new logo if they were really agile.
Well, if cows are happy, they produce a lot of milk.
So, Pia Maria, what is? Do you recognize the project culture that Per was talking about?
Yes, definitely, I do. It's like Per says that we start up a lot of projects, and we have an overbelief in that projects will solve every problem, but they won't, of course. But I wanted to add something to the previous question. I think that top management, they are not themselves showing the good behaviors, and they really have to do that first. They have a tendency to bring in McKinsey to create, a value base and behaviors that all the organizations should live by, and they push them down, but they don't show the way by living these values themselves first. So I think that's a big problem. They think that, McKinsey can solve the problem because they come in with their nice value maps and so on, but it's really the top management who has to go first and show trust and transparency, empowerment, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that they typically do.
Right. So a lack of vision, as I heard from Johan, a lack of values or living the values. I hear from your side. Hakan, some last words about that? What you have heard the last 5 minutes?
So what I see is successful in terms of lean and agile. The leaders focus on the why and the what, and they leave the rest of the how to the organization, but with some strong coaching and leading by example.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Could I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Per.
And that's in many organizations, agile is viewed as an IT thing, right? So IT, they are getting agile, and they talk about IT. IT has started to be agile, but the business doesn't really understand what it means to be an agile business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And that's something that they need to learn, that IT can only be agile if the rest of the company is agile as well. Basically, I totally agree with that. It's a very nice little bridge to my next question, which is about my own workshops that I'm organizing. Every time I ask my participants if they have any suggestions for me on how to organize a more agile workshop, because you can be agile in anything. I've noticed I can be agile as a writer. It has nothing to do with IT, or very little actually, putting words in a document. But agile principles apply there as well. So my question to you is, what would you think would be agile in terms of workshops and courses? Does anyone have a suggestion there for me?
What do you mean? I mean, the values can really be, you can put them on anything and work in an agile, have an agile mindset. That's the thing that you need when you work with agile. And agile mindset, I translate it to the agile values, which would be then empowerment, trust, you know, feedback culture, and so on, transparency, and so on. And if you work like that, it doesn't matter, as you say, where you work or what you do. You can always have an agile mindset, of course, even in your private life.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you have workshops as well, Pia Maria, about HR, about management. Are there any ways in which you try to be agile as a workshop facilitator?
Oh, yes. I mean, you always need to improvise. You never know what's coming, so you need to adapt to the changing needs of participants in the workshop. And that's a way of being agile, I think, when you run a workshop, is to always adjust to what you think will give the participants the best value. Because sometimes you can plan a workshop in detail and it doesn't turn out that way at all, that you thought it would turn out. And then it's very good to have some agile skills.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change, and have some tools with you in your backpack so that you can do almost anything. Shoot from the hip.
So you should maybe I should attend an improvisation workshop myself first.
Yeah.
In order to be able to be agile. All right. What about Johan? I don't know if you have attended any workshops or courses in the past. What would you expect as an attendee for workshops to be agile?
Well, foremost, I think that my own knowledge needs to be on the basis that I can actually steer the workshop and ask the right questions myself. I mean, agility is all about responding to change, right? And you have to ask the right questions to be able to grasp the concepts. So you say you have a course which is formed as it's presented. It's really up to the attendees to ask the right questions to get the right value from it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. All right, thank you. And Håkan, do you have some suggestions for me?
I typically try to use simulations, leading by example, and having something that they will themselves find what is not working, and then see potential solutions to work around that problem. Because if you just give them answers, you don't give them the path to self-discovery and self-learning, and that is really what Lean and Agile is about. It's about learning, experimentation, focusing on taking the next step.
Oh, I like that. So not just giving answers, but allowing them to discover things for themselves. Okay.
Yes, I think that is really important.
Yeah. All right, thanks. And Michael?
Yes, something that I hear a lot is that people want to get involved during these workouts because they are all having a lot of problems at home that they really would like answers on. But of course we can't give them answers, but if they in the group get to express their ideas and we can give an agile view on
Okay.
to work, that is very appreciated.
Yeah. All right, I get that. I'm making notes as we go. And last one, Per. Do you have any ideas for me?
Well, I don't know that everything has to be agile in order to be good.
That's a good one.
So I mean, good training principles are around, and I mean, if you look at training material, for instance, PowerPoint is not maybe mainstream in an agile environment. Would be
And
really agile. I
has
had a
frozen on
really
me, I
good
think.
manager once, but Matt, do you hear me now?
Yes, yes, we hear you again. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so I mean, I don't know if I'm not really sure that trainings themselves has to be agile. I mean, you could have a good training maybe regardless. But if it would be truly agile, I had a manager once that, I mean, he simply, we assumed that he came there to tell us something, but he said, okay, what would you like to talk about? And then he talked about what we wanted to talk about. And somehow, of course, he put it in his kind of direction, so he kind of talked about what he wanted to talk about, but we thought we talked about what we wanted to talk about.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So that was pretty agile, but maybe almost a little bit manipulative.
Okay. So it's about letting people think that they are driving the course.
It's like fake agile.
Right. Well, I agree with Per that it is not the goal to be agile. I mean, the principles are very useful in order to achieve better results when you produce things. But at some point you sometimes need to be directive. I mean, if you teach somebody to drive a car, then you don't let that person just decide for himself, what do I want to learn today? Oh, I want to shift gears, is what somebody says on his first lesson, and then the instructor says, no, we'll do that in lesson 10. Right? Let's first start with holding the steering wheel. So it all depends on the context, of course. Last question.
Actually, Jurgen, before we get to the last question, we have something from the audience that I think would be more pertinent now, which is, and I know we don't want to take too long, but Tom Heisterkamp asks, how does a manager empower their teams? And I thought that would be a good question. If we don't have to do everybody, but what are some of the techniques people use? And of course, you can go to Jurgen's workshop, which is coming. So that's one way, but
it's a good question. So does anyone want to take this question? How does a manager empower the team?
I think some of the first things that you need to do is to create a safe environment. So every change, everything you want to try, treat it as an experiment, and that you expect at least 50% of the experiments to not give the expected result. And if you have that mindset, then and the manager really lead by example in showing this. This can really empower the teams to try out new things. And then they need to give them space. They shouldn't be planned to 100%. They need space and time to actually try out new things. And that is, in my point of view, giving empowerment to the team.
Right. Okay. So showing by leading by example that it's okay to fail in about 50% of the time, because as Donald Reinertsen says, we learn the most when we fail about half the time and succeed half the time. That's I found that very inspiring when I picked that up. Indeed,
a comment to that, Jurgen. It really goes back to what we talked about from the top management. It's really planting the vision, really asking the why and really asking the what.
Yep.
And sometimes I find it's actually better to plant a trap for the team to step into and make the mistakes and let them learn from the mistakes, since they will never learn from any other mistakes. They will learn from their own. And if you plant them often enough and shallow enough, they will actually have a steeper learning curve.
All right, I like that. Thank you. Anyone else wants to contribute something that was not covered by Johan or Håkan for this question?
I agree very much with you that you need to create this safe environment where people can fail and don't be blamed for it. That's a good thing. But I also think that a good tool, of course, is the delegation poker to make it really clear how much empowerment people have. So it should be crystal clear what are the decisions really that people can take, and on what level do you take them. I think it's a helpful tool to clarify and to make it very visible what. Yeah, Jurgen is showing the cards now.
Yeah. The delegation poker cards, you can download them or you can order them, whatever you want.
And everybody loves them. They really love this game. It's fun. You use it. It's a perfect game, Jurgen.
Good. Glad to hear that. And we're going to use the delegation board also in the new workshops. I'm not going to waste a lot of words on them, but we're just going to use it, delegating things to the participants so they know at what level all the key decision areas are delegated, and how much they are empowered to steer things their own way. Any other questions, Lisette?
No, that is it right now.
That was it? Okay, good. Then I will continue with my last question for now, and that is our huge media campaign is going to start very, very soon. And do any of the participants know which of the local media that we should be reaching out to? Lisette and I and Eleanor, who is not here. Anyone we should be contacting who is interested in modern management and leadership? Does anyone have a suggestion for me?
I can tell you, just to seed ideas, we're reaching out already to Swedish newspapers and business schools and management schools, and we're also reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce in each city. So just to try to generate interest. So we're kind of doing some old school marketing. But if there's people that would be good to interview, for instance, thought leaders in Sweden who'd be interesting to have a conversation with, who would you suggest?
My personal favorite at the moment.
Yeah, there is an organization for managers in Sweden that I have some contact with. They call the Ledarna, and it means the managers in English. and it's an organization for all kinds of managers. They have 90,000 members, and yeah, they are kind of they help managers with the education, with training, with counseling, and so on. So this could be a good contact for you.
Okay. All right.
I have some contacts there. So
okay. Awesome. And
they are very interested in agile leadership, and I talked to them about Management 3.0. So they're really interested in that as well.
All right, perfect. So, well, let's talk about that after the hangout. See how we can pursue that opportunity. What about Håkan? You said that you also had an idea.
Yeah, I say my personal favorite, one of my thought leaders that I spend some time with is Niklas Modig. He's a professor, or he's working at the Swedish School of Commerce, and he's written a very successful book called This is Lean, which is out to very many leaders in the Swedish community today.
All right, in Swedish or in English?
Both, actually.
It's both. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that will be an interesting person to talk to and maybe have an interview with or something. All right. And Per, do you have some suggestions for us?
No, not really.
No. Okay. All right. And let's see. We have only Michael and Johan left.
Michael here, just a thought. I would love to see a debate almost between yourself and some of the old style managers, and I guess you can pick anyone from one of the big companies.
Awesome. I'll make that happen.
Just to see the point of views, because like I said before, we have an old paradigm which is the version management 2.0, which has been around for a while, and it's quite strong, a lot of ideas, and just to see what happens when we challenge those ideas with some new ones.
Okay. Well, just send any CEO with a huge bonus to me, and then we will exchange ideas. I will give them my ideas, and they give me their bonus. I think that's a very good.
I think it would be very difficult to find a person who would do that. I tried actually to do that because I have a conference called Agile People Sweden, and I tried to set up exactly that kind of debate, but I can find huge amount of numbers of people who would do the Agile side, but nobody who would do the other side.
Interesting. That is interesting to hear. Yeah. Okay, then they know that there's something wrong if they don't want to join the discussion, I think.
Exactly. They know they're feeding on other people's, I don't know what.
Okay. All right. So, all right, we've been talking for about 45 minutes. I think it's time to draw it to a close. I would like to give each of you a last word or last question, whatever you want, and let's do that from the left to the right. Håkan.
And while you do it, please hold up your mug so the audience can vote.
Oh, yeah. If you have a mug, hold it up. So, Håkan, any last wise words?
I don't really have a mug, but a piece of glass.
Transparency.
Here.
Transparency. That is. You should use that. Yeah. You should use that. Okay. Any last words from you, Håkan?
Yeah, maybe I should say I really encourage people to think about change and all this lean and agile movement as small experiments. And I don't talk about failures. I talk about the outcomes of the experiments is not what we expect, which is a little bit more neutral. And if you get a better result or a worse result than you expected, both of them are a learning. So I don't say failed experiments anymore.
All right, I love that. So learning experiences, they are only. Thank you for the wise words. What about Johan?
Well, to sum it up, I think that for me, I mean, we mix lean and agile in the organization, really not stating what they are, but for me, it's just a sum of responding to the change, to the constant and quite rapid change in the market, and thinking of the whole value chain. It's really that simple. As soon as you're starting improving your own work on the cost of anyone else, you're doing it wrong. So start thinking of your colleagues, start thinking what you can do for other people, and experiment and try it. The worst thing that can happen is that you actually learn stuff.
That sounds like a terrible thing indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Johan. And you did not have a mug, did you? No coffee mug in your name?
I actually got one mug.
Oh, you have one. All right.
You see it?
Hold it up. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, but not as nice as my one.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Johan. What about Michael?
I agree. I try to switch on. You see it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes.
Do you recognize the pattern?
Now I see something fuzzy and black.
This is the game of Pac-Man.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. I think I had a glimpse there. The Pac-Man pattern. All right. So your last words.
Yeah, it has been really interesting to participate in one of these hangouts. I've never done that before. I'm looking forward to coming to Sweden and talk and show the workouts. And last words about Agile. It's a constant journey, small steps. Don't be afraid of mistakes or failing. I think that is an approach which we have to adapt from both ends, both from manager's point of view, don't be afraid of failing, but also from employee and engineer point of view, we can't expect decisions on everything. We have to agree that we participate in a big experiment.
Perfect. Thank you. Per. Hello, Per. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I also, yeah, do you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I'm also looking forward to see a lot of really good exercises. And last night, Alex was asked about if I did some exercises with Lego. So I'm looking forward to get some good Lego exercises.
All right. Well, I already know that I am not going to bring buckets of Lego with me onto the airplane. So
no, we can provide that. That's not an issue.
But I know there are some very good Lego games around. That's true. I try to focus on games with that are a bit lighter to bring onto an airplane. But I'm sure we can experiment with new ideas. Pia Maria, what are your last wise words for us?
Oh, I don't know if it's so wise, but I would just like to say, be brave, be agile, try it, you'll like it, and you should try agile in some other area than you're used to, and you'll be surprised, and you'll like the result, I think.
I totally agree there. I like the words "be brave." I noticed myself that my writing only became a success when I switched to being more agile as a writer instead of planning big projects. Yes, Per, my writing is in terms of projects. I switched to smaller feedback cycles, and that made all the difference. And I think that is being agile as well as a writer. So, anyways, thank you all for joining. And before I switch back to Lisette, I hope some people who are watching are going to join me end of June or the third week of June in Stockholm or Göteborg or Malmö. We have 3 workshops planned. Maybe not all of them will actually happen, but it depends on how many people sign up. I'm sure there will be enough for at least one of them. And we're going to experiment. We'll do interesting games. We have lots of discussions about maybe bonuses as well, and about delegation and many other things. So I hope you'll join me. And let's go back to Lisette to wrap things up.
Great. I would like then to wrap things up for everybody to hold up their mug one last time. This is the last chance our audience has to vote. So just put them up. Great. 2 more seconds and I'm ending the poll. But right before I end the poll, I'd like to explain if anybody has questions in the future, if you think of something, if you thought of a thought leader or somebody that is important in Swedish management, then please just send it to #M30workout on Twitter, and we'll get that taken care of, or if you have last-minute thoughts. So I'm ending the poll now. I'd like to announce who the winner is. Drum roll. And Jurgen, you have won.
Oh, no.
Surprisingly enough.
That's silly. I'm not going to win my own contest. Who's number 2?
Well, yeah, and we can't send you your own book. So number 2 is going to be Pia Maria.
Yay!
Pia Maria and Johan. So one will get the coffee. We'll send coffee to somebody in the mail, and one will get the book from Jurgen.
Okay. I will bring an uglier mug next time.
You just have lots of slavish fans. It's good.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're going to sign off now and end the broadcast.
All right. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.